Hello, I'm Mantastic and Fantastic, and today I want to talk about all of the numerous new evolutions for Monster Point Dragons, Super Reincarnated Pantheons, 6-star Godfest exclusives, and former ex-Godfest exclusives that now have pixel forms. So, last night there was quite a large data download, and we received numerous new evolutions for various older cards. And while these are not like the 7-star Godfest exclusive 9-star seasonal events, these are still massively significant upgrades for Pantheon cards, which are considered very common and relatively easy to roll. So when looking at these cards, you have to kind of keep this in mind. These are like either Pantheon cards, Monster Point cards, which are farmable, 6-star Godfest exclusives, which have declined in value, and former 5-star Godfest exclusives. So they can't be as super amazing as you might think. But with that being said, these are a lot stronger than I was thinking they would be, considering their lower rarity status. So I want to go through each of the cards individually and continue reading. But I want to go through them each individually to give you a bit of a better idea of what is in store. So for the Monster Point Dragons, these 5 are the original ones that came out that you could purchase for 300,000 Monster Points. And at the time, this was quite a large investment. It was difficult to acquire Monster Points. Over time, it's become significantly easier, but owning 1 or even 2 is almost considered like a status symbol. It's like, look at me, I am rich, I have these things. And they were quite powerful for what they did at the time. Now, of course, they have always been power crept because of newer and flashier things, and we now have things for 750,000 Monster Points, which in theory should be 2.5 times more valuable. Regardless of that, with their new evolutions, each of them are able now to provide 5 or 6 effective skill boosts due to Super Skill Boost, Super Awakening, and haste built into their active skills. So these can be solutions for your transforming teams. And the fact that they come with triple typing means that they're much more likely to actually be used on a given team because they just have more places they can be utilized. Unfortunately, it's going to be difficult to get that Super Awakening because they have a 1 out of 5 chance of acquiring it. So you might be spending tons and tons of pluses into these cards, and they may or may not always be the best solution. These are great options for farmable things, but of course there are stronger cards out there. So for Shiva Dragon, you have 6 effective skill boosts, large amounts of TPA damage with his base attack, and their leader skill is comically high damage for just being fire and a super reincarnated card. Just, in fact, one combo, both Shiva Dragon leaders will have 324 times attack. You match a TPA, you can blow things up. But at the same time, I feel that you're restricting yourself, obviously, with super reincarnated cards, but it's going to be less efficient compared to other farming teams possibly out there, because I feel that attack roll below 50% teams are stronger because they can stack rows. And Shiva Dragon could have been a good, reasonable Gregory sub, but no physical typing, and I feel like there's not too many places to fully take advantage of their TPA nature otherwise. Next is Neptune Dragon. And Neptune Dragon has always been an awkward card in my opinion. Like, he never really had that much value. Like, he does have a big poison, but at the same time, is that truly helpful nowadays? Not so much. I guess thankfully they do have 6 effective skill boosts, but they don't bring much else to the team, and they also have a tremendously long cooldown. It's a 16-turn cooldown because of their big poison, 2 turns haste, and they only create a single row of water orbs. It's going to be hard to work around it. I feel like unless you're truly desperate for skill boosts and you somehow magically got the super skill boost without too much effort, this could definitely be a viable solution, but it's not that amazing overall, I feel. Like, they do have some VDP damage, they do have some rows, but they're not providing any resists, nothing truly special otherwise. By comparison, Odin Dragon is still quite useful. So they do lose their ability to clear regular binds, so you must be aware that they cannot clear regular binds. So now they only can clear awoken binds, giving you 1 turn haste, as well as creating a column of hard orbs. For the most part, I feel like this is a significant upgrade because, for the most part, almost everything is bind immune anyway, so that component usually went to waste. But that column of hearts is helpful, especially if you're playing a team that does not have auto follow-up attack damage. You are no longer kind of doomed, quote-unquote, to having a dead active skill through your Odin Dragon. You always can make this column of hearts, which will allow you to heal, allow you to follow-up attack. It's just a useful thing to have. He also brings his own follow-up attack awakening. Now, again, it's 5 effective skill boosts is high, but again, it's going to be difficult to fish for the correct one, and They do have a soft bind clear to cancel regular binds, but they're not providing any other of the sexier resists, which a lot of the super reincarnated Pantheon cards do. Raw Dragon is still a rainbow-oriented card. His active skill is bonus movement time, lock all orbs, and then 2 turns haste. There is some value there. I need to edit one of the sections. Like, it can be 6 effective skill boosts, but at the same time, you're not providing too much benefit. Like, I feel like this active skill is still reasonably quote-unquote dead. I guess you could utilize him as a sub on various rainbow teams like Dire or Fagin Rai because of the dragon and god typings, but it's a little awkward as a sub because they're not doing that much for their active skill. And their leader skill is strong on paper, but again, those 2 other cards are much stronger leaders, and they're not as restricted to using reincarnated or super reincarnated cards. You can't use Mega Awoken Dark Kali, and that's a little awkward in my opinion. Then finally we come to Yomi Dragon. So Yomi Dragon is still an Orb Enhancy L-ish kind of individual. Does have some movement time, can provide 5 effective skill boosts, but for their active skill, I think it's one of the better active skills for all the Monster Point Dragons. It's only a 9-turn cooldown. It gives you 5 hearts, 5 dark. Basically enough to make a row, or always enough for a follow-up attack. It's just a useful active skill to have for mono dark teams. And I feel like Yomi Dragon would have more value if they had Devil typing. If they had Devil typing, they could definitely be utilized on Yugi teams, but because of a lack of that, we don't really have anywhere right now that demands this many skill boosts, I feel. So I feel like Yomi Dragon is kind of positioned to be stronger in the future, maybe, but at the same time, they do have truly confusing artwork, and I have no idea where to look. I don't know what happened there. Now we come to the Pantheon cards, which are, in my opinion, incredibly exciting because these are 5-star cards that we've possibly rolled years and years and years ago that now have gained updated awakenings for 2020, and some of these are actually definitely worth pursuing. But with this in mind, these are very high investment cards. To create a super reincarnated evolution, you need a rainbow event medal, lots of rare gems. You also need to have maxed out a reincarnated card first, then you can super reincarnate them, which is a massive monster point experience sink. You have to level these cards back up. Again, another big sink. Maybe limit break them, level them to 110. Massive amounts of monster experience you're going to be spending. They also have 5 super awakenings, which will cause you to have issues with having the right one. It's going to cost you a ton of pluses to get the one you want. So these are high investment cards, but some of them are actually quite valuable, and you should go through them on an individual basis to determine whether or not you should be making them, at least at this point in time. Maybe when you have more resources in the future or find a specific use for them, convert them now. But right now, unless you have a dedicated usage for them, I feel like they're quite expensive to make. So another point I want to mention is, like the Monster Point Dragon cards, they all have triple typing, which means they have a stronger likelihood of being utilized across various teams. So for Super Reincarnated Raphael, I think he's just underwhelming. He doesn't do anything truly spectacular. Not many skill boosts. They could have Cloud or Tape Resist, I guess, but there are many cards that could cover those things. Their active skill is a long 13-turn cooldown that gives you 1 turn of damage immunity, so I guess that counts as like a stall, which could be like an extra effective skill boost if you really wanted, but it's not doing that much overall. Like, there are much better things. It's an expensive card, and yes, their leader skill has big numbers, but you have to match 4 or more colors, so you can't swipe farm with them, and you have to have 5 or fewer orbs remaining. Again, if you didn't have this color clause, it'd be much stronger, but of course they have the color clause and orb remaining. It's a lot of hurdles to jump through for. There are better things to use Amen. Next is Lucifer. So Lucifer still retains his ability to function as a powerful attack while below 50% sub. They do not have many skill boosts, but they have high personal damage and high amounts of movement time. Furthermore, their active skill is still useful. It's a column of hearts, a column of dark. Never going to be upset about that. And cutting your health by 50%, which is important for those types of teams. And I feel like it's a reasonable card. Like, if you do have some attack while below 50% cards like Shivnia, this can definitely be another way to pad in more damage, or another orb changer that cuts your health, which could be meaningful. But I feel like it's okay. It's not that magical overall. A lack of a VDP means it can't be used on other teams when you play through arena style content, because he does have damage oriented awakenings, but those are wasted against void spawns. So I feel like it's more of like a farming type card. And with their leader skill, they can, in theory, do more farms, things like Training Arena 2, and like I do have a video link in the article here. Basically, it shows how you can use a bunch of Chuans and just swipe rows or make a heart cross every once in a while to kill things. It's kind of cool, but I feel like we have many options for farming teams. Next is Super Reincarnated Horus. And in my opinion, Horus is one of the stronger reincarnated cards even before this evolution, because they were, or they still are, a phenomenal ranking dungeon solution. They provided 3 skill boosts, they provided guard break and an L, which are great for style points, and the super reincarnated form doesn't really upgrade that much. You still have the same 3 skill boosts, you do get guard break, you do get L, and you do get to have cloud or tape resist as a super awakening. I guess that might be helpful in certain situations, but it may not be that amazing. Like, it may not be necessary. And the biggest issue I feel is that their colors change. If you retain the same fire blue or red blue, I'd be happier. But with red light or fire light, it's less magical because, let's face it, one of the most common leaders for ranking dungeons is Zeus first, and you want to minimize pings. And if you have another light ping, you're just slowing yourself down. So for myself, I don't plan on converting my Horus from his reincarnated form just for that reason alone. It solves my ranking dungeon needs. It's got a same wonderful 2-turn cooldown, 3 skill boosts, a useful card overall. I don't feel it's necessary to pursue this evolution. Next is Susano, and he basically went from 0 to insignificant to hero. He is quite strong now. He provides 3 regular skill boosts and 1 turn of haste, so 4 effective skill boosts, super blind resist through their base awakenings. So you have options for super awakenings, and in all honesty, like, you don't really have to care as much what super awakening you get, because when you think about it, all the major things you're trying to cover are already tied up into your regular awakening, so that is a bit of resource saving in that regards. But any mono wood team or even rainbow based team can definitely utilize them. It's wood coverage, which might be difficult, but giving full blind immunity is always helpful. And the shield might be a way to get some more turns of stalling, because it's a 50% damage reduction, and if you're pairing things up that have some multipliers before they transform, you might be able to tank a hit, which means you might be able to have an extra effective skill boost. It all depends on the dungeon you're playing through, but it's something to keep in mind. Next is Amaterasu, and she has become a superstar card in my opinion. So prior to this, Lakshmi was basically the dominating card for healing solutions, because she had 1,334 RCV at level 110, along with 2 or 3 enhanced heal orb awakenings, which means you match a TPA of hearts, and boom, explosive amounts of healing. Amaterasu has basically the same amount of RCV. It's actually slightly higher, but she already comes naturally with 3 enhanced Heart Orb Awakenings. So she's already got the same amount of healing potential as Lakshmi, but you don't have to worry about Super Awakenings. And in fact, Amaterasu's Super Awakenings are much better. You can get Cloud or Tape Resist. Very helpful Super Awakenings. So she's already crushed Lakshmi in those regards. She heals just as much or slightly more. She has an extra resist. She also provides 2 skill boosts and 1 turn of haste. So 3 effective skill boosts, along with an active skill that's useful. Lakshmi's active skill does really nothing. Amaterasu is a bind and awoken bind clear with a 40% heal. Like, it's a much more valuable active skill. So if you are in need for a healing solution, Amaterasu should be your go-to girl. She just eclipses Lakshmi in every regards, unless you have to use water type cards. But the point of the matter is, Amaterasu, with her physical typing, can be a healing solution for Grigori teams, and I would definitely replace your Lakshmi with Amaterasu if possible, because you get more resist, more skill boosts, better base active. Is she prettier? Hard to say. Next is Parvati. And Parvati, I feel, is continuing this trend of building up for wood teams to be strong at some point in time, because we got Freyr at some point, and Parvati is also tremendously powerful. She provides you with 2 VDPs and 3 super follow-up attacks and a super poison resist through her super awakenings. Quite a bit of value in that one card, and in fact, when you match both boxes of hearts and wood, she will be boasting 50 times personal damage. That's pretty magical. You can throw on a super follow-up attack awakening for another 2 times, 100 times personal damage. Like, wow, that's so much damage. The problem is that is orb hungry, difficult to do, and without a 7x6 board, I feel like it will be challenging to achieve all those metrics. And as a leader, these are solid multipliers, but you are requiring 4 to 7 hard orbs, which may or may not be difficult, but you will have issues hitting higher combo counts when you're forming many boxes unless you have like a Zila type active skill or a 7x6 board. And then finally for the Pantheon cards is Indra. And Indra is another superstar card. There's a strong likelihood you want to make him because he's used across quite a few different high-end teams. So Indra can have 4 skill boosts with super poison resist and provides 1 turn of haste to their active skill. So they are 5 effective skill boosts with a super poison resist. That's a lot of value in one card. It's going to definitely help alleviate team building constraints. And their active skill, like Susano, provides a damage reduction, but this is a bigger shield. It's 2 turns of 75% damage reduction, which means you have 4 times the effective health, which means you might be able to tank some hits prior to transforming. Your 40,000 health team now has 160,000 effective health. You might be able to tank a floor or 2 prior to transforming. Can be a way for you to kind of cheese out some skill boosts and replace it with more valuable cards overall. And in addition to the big shield, you have 2 turns of RCV buff, which will allow you to overwrite RCV debuffs, which is another important metric to have when you're playing through Colosseum and maybe Altarena 3 if you're using a team with lower RCV. Powerful card all around. Just be aware that they are vulnerable to binds, but with their god typing, they can be used as a dire sub. With their attacker typing, it can be a wonderful Fasca sub. Wonderful options all around. I feel like it's definitely a card worth making for that flexibility. Next, we come to the 6-star Godfest exclusives of Kanna and Aten. So with Kanna, she provides 6 effective skill boosts. She was basically a useless card before. Now she's much more valuable. 6 effective skill boosts, can easily get a Cloud Super Resist Super Awakening, has full blind immunity. You're covering so many different metrics. Furthermore, you have an RCV buff, an attack buff, as well as 2 turns haste built into their active skill. Like, you're doing a lot of things. Like, she just provides a large amount of utility. She may not have the most amazing damage output because TPAs may not be the desirable match, but if you are matching TPAs, she does do a significant amount of damage. But the fact that she's bringing so much utility makes me quite excited. She can be used on Dire teams, Fagan Rai, Fasca, like lots of transforming teams can use her because of 3 different typings, and the fact that it's 6 effective skill boosts with many other beneficial aspects. I wish I had Kanna. I never rolled a Kanna, but I really wish I had one because she would solve many problems for many different teams. Next for the Godfest exclusives is Aten, and I would give this card a 10 out of 10. Puns aside, this is a truly magical card, not only because they have a 10 combo awakening, but because they are now able to function as one of the best dire pairings available. So they are god typing and they have balance, so they can use any killer latent, but they provide a 7x6 board with reasonably respectable multipliers. Dire provides gargantuan multipliers, so the 2 together make a very happy pairing. You have a 7x6 board, you have an auto follow-up attack damage, you have comically high amounts of damage output from both your leaders because Dire has 7 combo, 10 combo, or maybe more, I forgot, he has a lot. And then A10 has 10 combo with 8 unique killers. And with these 8 unique killers, he has 3 times personal damage against basically any spawn. With double typing, which is almost always the case, it's 9 times 5, which is 45 times personal damage. Huge! And even though he doesn't have VDP, when you pair with Dire, you now have a Void damage Void, so you ignore VDPs. So now him and A10 can just blast their way through content. A truly magical leader. I look forward to experimenting with him, and I feel like it's going to be a great solution for my lack of a rainbow box, because I just haven't rolled many rainbow-oriented cards, and this might change my point of view because of the fact that you have 7x6 and auto follow-up attack damage, and the ability to just deal comical amounts of damage. Next are the pixel evolutions for the former 5-star Godfest exclusive cards. So these cards have actually become quite rare because they're rarely featured in Godfest anymore, so it might be difficult to actually acquire these cards. But with that being said, let's take a look at Guan Yu. So for Guan Yu, he still is a reasonably powerful and I feel like sometimes underrated card. In their non-pixel form, they have high amounts of personal damage, but in this form here, they have triple skill boosts and respectable VDP damage, and they could have cloud resist or even more VDP damage. It does give the potential for Grigori teams due to physical typing to actually kill void spawns without a Grigori active, which can be useful in case the dungeon has too many void spawns. Grigori may not be available. Match a 3x3 box of red, match another wood orb combo. You might have enough damage to pierce through. A definitely viable solution, and their active skill provides you with an attribute absorb cancel, which can be helpful in very situational aspects, but hey, it's 3 skill boosts and sizable VDP damage. Next is Zhuge Liang, and in all honesty, I forgot this card existed. Maybe Pancake has been playing lots of Taylor Swift lately, but I own one. I've never used it. Like, they're so awkward, and they still are awkward. They have potentially 4 skill boosts, which is cool, but they provide nothing else. There's no resist, there's no personal damage, you have comically low attack and TPAs, so you're not doing much there. Maybe you might like his large amount of RCV, but I feel like there are just better options out there. Like, if you have a Diao Chan, I'll take Diao Chan over Zhuge Liang basically any day of the week. It's just an awkward card overall. It's not providing much, and I'll continue to forget that they exist. Next is Pixel Erd. And Erd and Verdandi have basically the exact same awakening distribution. They have 2 skill boosts, 3 enhanced healer awakenings, some VDP, and either super blind or super poison resist. Having super resist is always beneficial to a team because it saves many awakenings as well as inheritance slots. And both of these cards can function as reasonable healing solutions because they have modest RCV, but 3 enhanced healer awakenings can definitely be helpful. Furthermore, both of these cards have their tricolor board changer that also provides 3 turns of 2 times RCV. So you can counter healing debuffs with ease, and you also have a very powerful board changer to go along with it. Creating a board of fire, water hearts or firewood hearts is valuable for those types of teams, and for Verdandi, she actually can be utilized as a healing solution for Grigori teams. Not as magical as Amaterasu or Lakshmi, but you have a much stronger active skill with her, and she fits right on the team with her physical typing and the super poison resist. The only thing that I can see being a bit of a drawback of Verdandi is her and Ruel, who is also a reasonably common solution for Grigori teams, both have super poison resist, so there's a bit of clashing, quote unquote. Next is Saria, and Saria has become significantly stronger. They have the ability to provide you with 4 to 6 effective skill boosts because of 2 turns haste, but I say 4 to 6 because you may not always need that many skill boosts. It is possible you have enough, and with a super poison resist, you can greatly save on other inheritance, which might be a more viable solution instead of just choosing double skill boost. Either way, you can quickly help transform a card of your choice. Her attacker typing means she can be used on Fasca teams. She has that poison resist, which is obviously very spicy. Many skill boosts. Fasco of Alice will definitely appreciate this. Between Alice is up to 6 skill boosts, Saria is up to 6 skill boosts. You have 2/3 of your skill boost needs solved within 2 cards with no inherits. Lots of team building options there. And you can, with enough Saria subs, kind of create a self-sustaining looping system, kind of like how we utilize the Christmas Sonias for ranking dungeons. You could utilize this in harder content, and you might be able to get by with that. Just be aware that you don't have skill bind resist, so maybe not the best idea possibly. Next is Sherias, and Sherias, for the most part, has been overshadowed by Sherias Roots because Sherias Roots is a 6-star Godfest exclusive, but Sherias has become so much better. They have 4 skill boosts, which is great. They have a big finger, which is helpful. They can gain super blind resist, which is always wonderful, but their active skill is now a rainbow board that provides you 2 turns of damage absorption cancellation. So it's a 2-turn Fujin, and this is my first 2-turn Fujin. Because it is at the time when they were originally available, they were quite common to roll, I feel, to a certain extent. So I managed to pick up, I think, 3 Sheriases in my life, and now I have a 2-turn Fujin active. Obviously, the cooldown is much longer compared to something like Dark Razor, but hey, it was kind of accessible back then, so I'm happy that I actually own it. But on rainbow-based teams, you're going to love this card. Like, what's not to like? You've got a board changer if you don't encounter those spawns. You have 4 skill boosts. They have God typing. They can be used on Fag and Rye teams because of Dragon. They can be used on Dire teams because of God. lots of options available. I think it's a great card to have. And with the pixel cards, at least, their evolution and investment requirements are much lower compared to super reincarnated. And it's also easier to fish for the super awakening you actually want. And then last, and maybe least, is Ronove. So Ronove has the ability to cancel out Jammer or Poison Skyfall debuffs by providing your own self-buff of Jammers and Heart Orbs. So it can be a solution, but I feel like Halloween Pumpkin is basically the best solution available at this point in time, and there's not many reasons to really swap out of Halloween Pumpkin unless you don't own Halloween Pumpkin. But Ronove only has 2 typings. I feel like they're just a bit of an awkward card still, but maybe one day there'll be a team that can utilize them, and having a 3-turn active skill is helpful because you can inherit something of your choice over top of it while having the ability to cancel out those Poison Skyfalls, which tend to be quite lethal. So, in conclusion, I feel like there are many new and strong evolutions given out to these older cards. And whenever older cards get buffed, I always get a little excited because I tend to own the older cards. I don't have many of the newer, flashier things, but I do have many Pantheon things, and having them receive buffs makes me happy because I could actually do them. Regardless of all that, let me know what you think about these new cards in the comments below. Do you think they're actually worth the investment cost? And if so, who have you made and where have you been utilizing them? Hopefully all the Mantastic day. I wish you all the best luck in your own pad adventures, and happy puzzling.